This week, all eyes on the Las Vegas Raiders as they prepare for their Week 3 clash against the Washington Commanders, a game that could set the tone for the early part of the season. Both teams enter this matchup with one win and one loss, and after last week's defeats, there's a clear hunger on both sides to bounce back. The Commanders faced off against one of the best teams in the NFL, the Green Bay Packers, while the Raiders squared off with the Los Angeles Chargers, a team that has proven to be a juggernaut in the AFC. There's no doubt that when these two teams meet on the field, we're going to see players fully motivated, fully dialed in, and ready to leave everything on the turf. The energy is high, the stakes are significant, and for fans of silver and black, this is a game that cannot be overlooked. A major storyline that everyone will be watching is the health of Commanders quarterback Jayden Daniels. After suffering a knee sprain against Green Bay, Daniels is currently listed as questionable, with some reports even suggesting he is doubtful for the game. This is not a long-term injury, but it could be a defining factor in this matchup. Daniels is easily the best quarterback Washington has had since Robert Griffin III, and losing him, even for 1 week, changes the entire dynamic of the game. If he cannot play, the Raiders get a significant edge because Marcus Mariota, while competent and familiar to Chip Kelly, simply doesn't carry the same level of skill or threat as Daniels. This could allow the Raiders to tailor their defensive strategy more aggressively, knowing that they're not facing the top-tier quarterback the Commanders would have started. Meanwhile, the Raiders themselves are under the microscope for their offensive performance, and the offensive line is at the center of every conversation. Through the first 2 games of the season, the line has given up 7 sacks and 32 pressures, ranking near the bottom of the league in both categories. These are not just numbers. They are indicators that adjustments are desperately needed if the Raiders hope to compete at a high level. One logical change would be to move Jackson Powers-Johnson to center, shift Jordan Meredith over to left guard, and return Dylan Parham to the right side. Parham has struggled on the left, and Meredith's skill set seems better suited to guard, where his blocking and awareness can make a tangible difference. The offensive line is not just a component of the offense, it is the backbone. Without it performing at its peak, no matter how talented the running backs or quarterbacks are, the team will struggle to maintain consistency and rhythm on both running and passing plays. Speaking of the run game, Ashton Gentry has been a topic of significant discussion. Drafted 6th overall, Gentry has yet to fully showcase the potential that made him one of the most talked-about prospects. The problem isn't entirely on him. It's the combination of play calling and offensive line struggles that have limited his opportunities. Through 2 games, Gentry has 30 carries for 81 yards, averaging just 2.7 yards per carry. But looking closer at his numbers, it becomes clear he is doing everything he can given the circumstances. -6 yards before contact in Week 1, 3 yards before contact in Week 2, it is evident that the offensive line is failing to create lanes and give him the space to operate effectively. And yet, his elusive rating remains impressive, ranking 4th among players with 30-plus touches in the NFL, demonstrating his ability to make defenders miss even when starting from behind the line of scrimmage. These stats tell the real story. Gentry is performing at a high level with very little help, and the blame for his underwhelming production must also fall on the line and the overall execution of the run game. The Raiders' offense becomes even more intriguing when we consider Brock Bowers and his role in the upcoming game. Bowers has missed significant practice time due to injury, which limited his snaps in previous matchups. Having him fully healthy would be a game-changer because it opens up the playbook, allows for proper personnel groupings, and strengthens the effectiveness of the running game. In 12 personnel, Geno Smith has already shown he can be efficient with a high completion rate and strong passer rating. Incorporating Bowers in a fully functional role can elevate the entire offensive unit, giving the Raiders more versatility and unpredictability, which is crucial against a team like Washington that is looking to exploit any weaknesses. And then there's Geno Smith himself. The quarterback's performance against the Chargers left fans with concerns. Tied for the most interceptions in the league so far, Smith's struggles are not solely his fault. Play calling and lack of adjustments have contributed to some of the issues. Yet, as a team leader, Smith must respond. His leadership in the huddle, particularly in high-pressure situations like 2-minute drills, is vital. The Raiders need a quarterback who instills confidence in every single player around him, someone who makes the team believe that they can execute and succeed under pressure. The burden also falls on Chip Kelly, the offensive coordinator, to adjust and call plays that align with the team's strengths. Stubbornness in sticking to certain schemes or forcing plays that aren't working can undermine even the most talented players. How Smith and Kelly respond in the coming weeks will reveal a lot about the character and resilience of this Raiders team and whether they have the fortitude to overcome adversity and play at a championship level. Looking at the bigger picture, this game is not just another matchup on the schedule. It's a test of preparation, depth, adaptability, and mental toughness. Every coach, player, and coordinator is under the microscope because even small missteps could swing the outcome. Raiders fans should be paying attention to every detail, from the health of the quarterback to the alignment of the offensive line, from how Gentry is utilized to how Bowers is incorporated into the offense. Every adjustment, every snap, every call matters. And for a team trying to assert itself in a competitive league, understanding and executing these nuances could make the difference between a mediocre season and a breakthrough. The storylines are compelling, the stakes are high, and the atmosphere is electric. Silver and black supporters are already feeling the anticipation, and the pressure is palpable on both sides. The Raiders have the talent, the coaching, and the motivation to seize this opportunity, but execution will be everything. Week 3 against Washington is shaping up to be a defining moment, and fans can expect drama, strategy, and, hopefully, redemption for the mistakes of the past 2 weeks. Now, as we dive deeper into the Raiders heading into Week 3, it's impossible to ignore the layers of complexity in this team's offensive and defensive strategies. Every matchup comes with its own set of challenges, and facing the Washington Commanders is no exception. While on paper this may look like a balanced game, both teams sitting at 1 win and 1 loss. The reality is that the nuances of preparation, personnel, and health make all the difference. The Raiders have shown flashes of brilliance, but consistency is the element that has been elusive. One of the most critical questions is whether the coaching staff will make the necessary in-game adjustments to maximize what this team can do. Chip Kelly has the experience, the playbook, and the vision to make the offense thrive, but football is about execution, timing, and the ability to adapt to what the defense gives you. In Week 2, we saw moments where the Raiders were slow to respond to defensive pressures, leading to turnovers and stall drives. This week, there is no margin for error, especially with the possibility of Jayden Daniels being sidelined. If Daniels cannot play, the Raiders' defense has a clear opportunity to dictate the pace of the game. Marcus Mariota, while talented, is not as polished or versatile as Daniels, which means the Raiders can anticipate shorter passes, more conservative play calling, and perhaps a more predictable rhythm from the Commanders. This is where defensive discipline and pressure become crucial. Max Crosby and the pass rushers need to exploit any hesitation, capitalize on Mariota's tendencies, and force him into mistakes that could swing momentum early. The defense must understand that even with a quarterback change, the game is far from guaranteed. Washington still has weapons across the field, and if the Raiders underestimate their receivers or mishandle assignments, it could quickly become a tighter contest than anyone expects. The Raiders' preparation, film study, and ability to anticipate plays will be put to the ultimate test. Switching back to the offense, the situation with the offensive line remains a pressing concern. Adjustments cannot be delayed any longer. Jackson Powers-Johnson has the capability to anchor the line, providing stability and leadership that the Raiders desperately need. The placement of Jordan Meredith and Dylan Parham is more than a tactical decision. It is about creating space, protecting the quarterback, and opening lanes for the running game. Without these adjustments, the Raiders risk another week of offensive stagnation. Every misstep in protection forces the quarterback into hurried throws, limits Gentry's effectiveness, and ultimately impacts the team's ability to sustain drives. Fans have been patient, but the margin for frustration is shrinking. This week, the offensive line has to deliver because the rest of the team is ready to perform. And then there's Ashton Gentry, who continues to be a fascinating study in untapped potential. Despite the limitations placed upon him by the offensive line and play calling, he has shown flashes of brilliance. His elusive rating, as mentioned earlier, ranks among the top in the league for running backs with over 30 touches. What's remarkable is that he achieves this despite constantly starting behind the line of scrimmage, with defenders closing in on him almost immediately. The contrast between his skill and the opportunities he is given underscores a deeper problem. This team has the talent, but has struggled to align strategy with execution. Gentry's ability to break tackles, create yardage after contact, and stay on his feet under pressure is world-class. But football is a team sport, and without blocking, the stats don't reflect his true contribution. If the Raiders can improve their blocking schemes, open proper lanes, and give him the space to operate, Gentry can be a game-changer this week. Brock Bowers' health also cannot be overlooked. His return to full participation in practice would transform the Raiders' offensive dynamic. When healthy, Bowers is more than a reliable target. He creates mismatches, demands defensive attention, and opens up options in the passing game that otherwise would be unavailable. His presence influences coverage schemes and can free up Gentry or other skill players to exploit weaknesses in the defense. In short, a fully healthy Bowers allows the Raiders to operate at their full potential. Without him, the offensive playbook is limited, and the team must rely on improvisation and short-term strategies rather than executing the game plan in its entirety. The difference between having him and not having him is felt on every single play, from the first snap to the final whistle. And let's not forget about Geno Smith, whose leadership and decision-making will be under scrutiny once again. The quarterback position is as much about mental toughness as it is about physical ability. Smith's performance against the Chargers exposed areas of concern, but also revealed his willingness to hold himself accountable and learn from mistakes. That mentality is invaluable, but it must translate into on-field adjustments. Reading the defense, managing the clock, and making smart choices under pressure are all part of what separates a good quarterback from a great one. The Raiders need Smith at his sharpest this week, because even small errors can be magnified against a disciplined and opportunistic defense like Washington's. This game is also a reflection of the larger narrative of Raider Nation. Fans have endured highs and lows, moments of brilliance, and periods of frustration. Every game becomes a story not just of individual players, but of the collective spirit of the team. How the Raiders respond to adversity, how they manage injuries, how they adapt to the flow of the game. These are the true tests of resilience. Leadership at every level matters, from the coaches on the sidelines to the captains on the field. Preparation, accountability, and execution will be the benchmarks for success this week. In short, this matchup is about opportunity, execution, and proving that the Raiders have the depth, talent, and strategy to compete at the highest level. The Commanders are a formidable opponent, but the Raiders have their own advantages, from defensive scheming to offensive potential. The next 45 minutes on the field will reveal much about the identity of this team, the effectiveness of the coaching staff, and the ability of players like Gentry, Bowers, and Smith to step up under pressure. Raider fans should expect a game that tests every facet of this team, from leadership to skill, from preparation to adaptability, and the outcome will speak volumes about the trajectory of the season. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Shockwaves are reportedly rippling through the NFL as whispers circulate that the Las Vegas Raiders have made a bold move to secure one of the league's most feared defenders. Sources close to the team claim that the Raiders are willing to sacrifice a significant draft pick to bring T.J. Watt to Sin City. The buzz, though unconfirmed officially, has set social media ablaze and ignited speculation among fans and analysts alike. For months, the Raiders' front office has been under pressure to address their defensive shortcomings. The team's pass rush has often been criticized for inconsistency, and acquiring a player of Watt's caliber would instantly change the dynamics. Imagine the terror opposing quarterbacks would feel facing a relentless, three-time Pro Bowler roaming the edge of Allegiant Stadium. an upgrade that could redefine the Raiders' identity overnight. The potential trade, still described as in discussion, reportedly involves giving up a high-round draft pick, which is no small price. But insiders suggest the organization believes that immediate defensive firepower outweighs future selections. It's a classic win-now maneuver, signaling that the Raiders may be fully committing to challenging for a playoff run rather than building gradually through the draft. Speculation about what's possible move to Las Vegas has only fueled intrigue. Some pundits argue that a reunion with defensive-minded coach Josh McDaniels, or working alongside the team's emerging young linebackers, could create the perfect storm for what to thrive. Meanwhile, fans are buzzing with dreams of highlight reel sacks and game-changing turnovers that could lift the Raiders from perennial contention questions to genuine Super Bowl hope. Of course, nothing is finalized, and the league is watching closely. Will Watt bite at the prospect of joining a team desperate for a defensive identity? Or is this just another tantalizing rumor that fuels off-season chatter without ever materializing? For now, all eyes are on Las Vegas, where a potential blockbuster could alter the trajectory of the franchise and send shockwaves through the NFL landscape. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.